So you might have seen it on AO3 tags or now in series like Pit Babe and ABO Desire. And maybe, like many, you asked, what is alpha, beta, omega? Is this a kink thing? Is it just a fanfiction trope? Or is there something deeper? It's called the Omegaverse, a fictional world with strict biological roles, scent-driven bonds, heat cycles, and sometimes, yes, male pregnancy. It sounds wild. But once you look closer, there's a reason so many fans, and now even live-action dramas, are leaning into it. Because Omegaverse isn't just about fantasy, it's about power, desire, gender, and control. And in 2025, it's taking center stage. ABO Desire, a Chinese live-action series, is now streaming across 7 platforms, from Gaga Olala to Youku to iQIYI. And it's doing what few shows have tried before, bringing full-blown ABO dynamics to the screen. So where did this genre even come from? How did it get so popular? And why are people so divided on it? Let's pause in the chaos and unpack how the Omegaverse went from niche kink to global genre, and why ABO Desire might be the breaking point. The Omegaverse, also known as ABO, is a fictional universe where everyone is classified into secondary genders, alpha, beta, or omega, regardless of their sex. Alphas are dominant, omegas are submissive, betas are in between. In this world, biology rules everything, from careers and relationships to instincts and even bodily functions. Some stories also introduce enigmas, rare, unpredictable individuals who don't follow the usual rules. They can disrupt power dynamics entirely, often representing instability, danger, or exception. The concept first exploded in fanfiction, particularly in slash fandoms like Supernatural or Teen Wolf, where writers started exploring themes of mating, hierarchy, and gender inversion. It gave rise to tropes like scent marking, heat cycles, rutting, nesting, and yes, sometimes male pregnancy or mpreg. Heat refers to a period of heightened arousal that omegas experience, often cyclical and hormonally triggered. Ruts are the alpha equivalent, a state of aggressive sexual drive. Scenting or scent marking is how characters claim or comfort one another using smell, often emotionally charged. Some stories also include knotting, a temporary physical lock formed by an alpha during sex that symbolizes intimacy or possessiveness. And bonding typically refers to a lasting, sometimes irreversible connection formed between alpha and omega, emotional, physical, or both. But it's not just about kink. Omegaverse stories often dive into issues of consent, power imbalance, social roles, and biological determinism. And depending on the writer, it can be romantic, dystopian, erotic, or all three at once. What started as a niche corner of fandom became its own genre, evolving into web novels, manhwa, audio dramas, and now, full-scale series like Pit Babe in Thailand and ABO Desire in China. But the genre didn't get here without backlash. Because with Omegaverse, the line between fantasy and taboo isn't always clear. The Omegaverse didn't start in Asia. It actually came from Western fanfiction, mostly slash pairings in fandoms like Supernatural, Teen Wolf, and X-Men. It began as a way to remix werewolf tropes with a deeper focus on instinct, pack dynamics, and taboo power structures. The earliest ABO fics started popping up around 2010, especially on Archive of Our Own, or AO3, where the ABO tag took on a life of its own. Writers created entire biological systems from scratch, adding scent glands, mating cycles, heat periods, dominance battles, and even societal roles based on secondary gender. It wasn't just about who tops who. It became a full-on world-building exercise, and from there, it spread. To Wattpad, Tumblr, Twitter threads, and even YouTube roleplays. Omegaverse became a fan-made genre, flexible enough for smut, romance, angst, dystopia, or all of the above. Eventually, it leapt into original fiction. Self-published novels and digital web novels adopted ABO as a foundation for queer-coded world-building, especially in male-male romance, but also in fantasy, sci-fi, and even straight pairings. The tone could be dark or sweet. Alpha with alpha, omega with beta, anything was fair game. And as it grew, so did its complexity. New secondary gender types like enigmas, deltas, or gammas started showing up, expanding the system beyond the original alpha, beta, omega triangle. So while it started as fan fiction, the Omegaverse became something bigger. A whole ecosystem of tropes, dynamics, and rules, shaped by fandom, filtered through fantasy, and constantly evolving. From niche Western fan fiction, the Omegaverse didn't just spread, it evolved. In South Korea, it took off through webtoons and manhwa, especially on platforms like Legend. Titles like Love is an Illusion, Love Shuttle, and Dear Door brought ABO to a whole new audience, with slick art, dramatic pairings, and addictive angst. In China, it exploded in danmei web novels. Platforms like JJWXC and Changpei hosted ABO stories that mixed palace drama, sci-fi, and xianxia with heat cycles and nodding. Some novels even added enigmas and viral mutations to explain the new gender system. Thailand joined in next, with audio dramas, fan-made comics, and eventually, live-action series like Pit Babe, which teased the dynamics in Season 1. So whether it's manhwa, web novels, or even YouTube edits, the Omegaverse went global and started mutating into something uniquely local in every region. For years, Omegaverse stayed mostly in novels, comics, and fanfics. But live action? That was a different story. Thailand's Pit Babe was the first to dip its toes in. Season 1 included subtle nods, heat suppressants, scent reactions, even light bonding cues. Fans speculated, was this the first live-action ABO? Then came ABO Desire. Not a tease, a full-on Omegaverse story. Set in a post-virus world where alpha, beta, and omega have replaced the male-female binary, and a mysterious new type, the Enigma, upends the entire power structure. It's adapted from the danmei novel Desire by Nongjian, a duo of twin sisters known for bold, controversial writing. And they didn't just write it, they directed and produced the live-action too. To bypass censorship, the series was filmed in Taiwan and Hong Kong, even though it features a full Chinese cast. It's now streaming across 7 platforms: YouTube, Gaga O Lala, Viki, IQIYI, WeTV, Youku, and Heavenly. That's already made it one of the most widely distributed BLs of the year. So while Pit Babe kept things subtle, ABO Desire stepped in, and may have just opened the floodgates. Even though ABO Desire is the first series to fully embrace Omegaverse tropes on screen, the reception hasn't been smooth. Some fans are loving it, others are deeply frustrated. And the debate? It's getting heated. One fan, who goes by Namatu-sama on my drama list, lays out some of the backlash. From rumors about the author to accusations of nepotism, to complaints that the acting feels too stiff, or the episodes drop too slowly. But they defend the show, pointing out that the cast starred in hit dramas like Till the End of the Moon and Legend of Zhanghai, and arguing that the cold acting is intentional, even refreshing compared to over-the-top performances. They also highlight a deeper frustration, that some international fans just don't like seeing China do Omegaverse, especially when it starts competing with Thai BLs. But the strongest criticism comes from someone inside the fandom. A user named Rutide Raposa, who calls themselves a longtime Omegaverse fan, argues the problem isn't the politics, it's the execution. They say ABO Desire is failing as an Omegaverse drama. To them, it strips out the genre's emotional core, the sexual tension, the pheromone-driven conflict, the raw, instinctual pull that defines Omegaverse stories. Even scenes meant to show heat feel flat or confusing. The characters seem unsure. The energy feels muted. Their verdict? It's like the drama keeps mentioning Omegaverse rules but never actually shows them. That critique hit a nerve and sparked pushback from other fans. One user, Jun, called the comparison to Pit Babe unfair, arguing that the shows aren't even trying to do the same thing. Another, Arthenha, went further, accusing critics of gatekeeping. They argue that people demanding uncensored heat scenes are missing the point. You think you're going to get full-on Omegaverse sex scenes from Chinese actors? These people still live under censorship laws. Be realistic. To them, Desire is already pushing boundaries. Just being a Chinese-language live-action Omegaverse is a huge leap, especially given the risks. And that tension between creative ambition, censorship limits, fan expectations, and regional BL wars is now at the heart of this show's reception. For some, ABO Desire is groundbreaking. For others, it's a sanitized shadow of the genre. Either way, it proves just how loaded and polarizing Omegaverse can be. Let's be honest, Omegaverse isn't exactly tame. This genre leans into extremes: instinct-driven desire, pheromone control, heat cycles, and power hierarchies baked into biology. That opens up a lot of space for creative storytelling, but also raises questions about kink, consent, and representation. In many Omegaverse stories, things happen because the body says so. A character in Heat might lose all rational control. An alpha might mark a mate involuntarily. A bond might override free will. That doesn't always mean the stories are promoting non-consent, but it does mean they're playing with those themes. For some, that's the appeal. It's primal, taboo, and emotionally intense. For others, it's deeply uncomfortable, especially when elements like dupe-con, heat-induced submission, or mating under pressure aren't clearly interrogated. And that's why Desire is such a fascinating case. It brings all the visual cues of Omegaverse: scent suppressants, heat meds, social rank, but leaves out most of the physical intimacy. There's chemistry, yes, but it's careful, held back. Some fans see that as a smart, censored compromise. Others say it strips the genre of its emotional core. And even creators have publicly wrestled with this. Back in December 2024, the author of Pit Babe announced that Season 2 would remove all Omegaverse elements, saying the genre no longer aligned with their values. They cited deeper problems they saw with the format itself and said they didn't want to publish work that contradicted their beliefs. So Season 2, they claimed, would become a full fantasy racing story. No heats, no suppressants, no mpreg. That change sparked debate, especially among fans who had connected with the dynamics in Season 1. But by April 2025, that decision was reversed. Season 2 went ahead with the Omegaverse still intact. Heat cycles, scent dynamics, and all. The belief-based hesitation didn't stick, but it shows how even creators are caught between artistic freedom and cultural pushback. And that's the tension. For some, ABO is fantasy and metaphor. For others, it's too entangled with problematic tropes to keep defending. And yet, even with all the discomfort and controversy, or maybe because of it, Omegaverse has found a passionate, loyal fan base. For many, it's not about the explicit elements. It's about the emotional intensity, the way biology collides with identity, the push and pull between instinct and choice. You get storylines where power flips, soft alphas, fierce omegas, betas stuck in the middle, or enigmas that blow the whole system apart. You get mating bonds that feel like fate, or characters fighting to break free from what they were born to be. It's a framework that lets writers explore big themes: gender roles, consent, repression, bodily autonomy, but in a heightened, metaphorical way. And for queer audiences in particular, that hits deep. Because in a world where your biology is used to define or limit you, rewriting the rules can feel revolutionary. Not everyone gets it. But for those who do, it's not just a trope, it's a tool. So, where does that leave us? With ABO Desire now streaming across 7 platforms, from Gaga Olala to Viki, Aiki, Youku, WeTV, and more, the Omegaverse has officially hit the mainstream. Not just in fanfic, not just in manhwa, but on screen, with real actors, under real scrutiny. And whether people love it or hate it, they're talking about it. That alone is a sign of a shift. Because until recently, Omegaverse was still whispered, a guilty pleasure tucked inside tags and locked chapters. Now it's part of the global BL conversation. More producers are watching closely. More creators are experimenting with the format. And sure, not every BL series will go full ABO. The genre's still risky, still loaded. But what ABO Desire proves is this: there's an audience for it, there's curiosity, and in the right hands, there's potential for stories that push the boundaries of what BL and speculative romance can be. It might have started as fan fiction, a fantasy about pheromones, pack dynamics, and heat. But the Omegaverse has become something bigger, a lens for exploring power, vulnerability, biology, and choice. A space where gender can be rewritten, where instincts clash with identity, and where stories stretch the boundaries of what desire can mean. It's messy, it's controversial, but it's not going away. Because even in the heat of criticism, there's something about this genre that keeps pulling people in. And I hope this pause in the chaos gave you something new to think about. Until next time, this is GPkP.